Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have released a slick new video highlighting the impact of their Archewell Foundation over the past year. The 1-minute clip shared by the royal couple shows people and causes the foundation has helped throughout 2023. But the release, which came only hours after the Princess of Wales was praised for the sweet footage of her and her children at a baby bank, is raising eyebrows in royal circles, with some people questioning whether this is a case of anything Kate can do, we can do better. Joining me now, royal editor Sarah Hewson. Good to have you on the show, Sarah. I mean, was it a coincidence? Could this footage have quickly been rushed out by the Sussexes to say, well, look, they've done it, we can also do it, here we are doing it? What do you think has been going on behind the scenes?
Well, look, the timing is convenient, isn't it? Coming just a matter of hours after the Prince and Princess of Wales released their very slick video of Kate and the kids at a baby bank. But I think there's probably a bit more to this than just keeping up with the Waleses. Actually, I think this is more about rebranding of Harry and Meghan and wanting to end the year on a positive note and a reminder to people of what they're actually doing in California, that their year hasn't just involved spats with the royal family or car chases or court cases, for an example. And this highlight reel shows us some of the work through their Archewell Foundation, and that's the charity that they set up when they left the royal family. It's very warm. There's a lot of hugs. We see Meghan very hands-on with the organisations they're working with. Organisations like building a playground in Uvalde in Texas in memory of those who lost their lives in the school shooting there. We see her setting up a baby bank, a baby pop-up boutique for homeless pregnant women. There are calls to young entrepreneurs as well. And it's been published alongside the impact report by the Archewell Foundation, which also talks about giving mental health support to victims of earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. It talks about providing resettlement help for Afghan women in the United States and period products to girls in Nigeria. So I think that's the message that the Sussexes want to end the year on, a positive one, trying to distance themselves from the furore around Endgame, which I don't think has done brand Sussex any good, and remind people of what they want them to see.
When Harry and Meghan struck out for Montecito, declaring their desire for autonomous choices about what they did and what they didn't do, what was it that they wanted to achieve in terms of their charitable foundation? And does this film look as if they have succeeded in achieving it?
They've always said they want to make a difference. They want to bring people together to help them find a purpose. And that is what this film is all about. And that is what this long impact report that comes alongside it is all about. But I think if you look beneath this very slick video, there are some figures that are a bit less shiny and a bit less glossy that we do need to look at. Their tax return, their financial report been published alongside it. A massive drop in donations from the first year. They got £10.4 million in donations in 2021. The following year, that went down to just £1.6 million in donations from benefactors. Recovered a bit this year to £4 million, but they have some very high costs as well. And last year they did operate at a loss of over £500,000. They employ 5 people. Harry and Meghan don't take an income from this. But among those employees, James Holt, their executive director, used to be with them at Kensington Palace and headed to California with them. He received £180,000 in pay. That was up from £47,000 at Vanessa the previous year. So on the face of it, that looks like a pretty whopping pay rise. If you look a bit deeper, it does appear that his first salary wasn't for a full year, so that was prorated. And the charity does have around £6 million in reserves, but it did make a loss, and we can see that its costs are very, very high. Archewell saying it's not unusual for foundations like this not to receive such big donations after the first year, and they wouldn't be chasing them when they've got a lot on reserve. But I think the figures are not as shiny as the video that we are looking at right now.
Does that mean that there's a possibility, Sarah, that the Archewell Foundation may have to fold, that it can't continue dispensing largesse and beneficence if it doesn't actually have the funds? And I'm not certain that Harry and Meghan as a couple seem the sorts of people that necessarily people want to donate money to, partly because they seem very self-sufficient, they're very, very glamorous. They don't really, I imagine, attract that kind of reaction in people, but I could be wrong. But what happens if donations continue to plummet?
Well, on the other hand, Vanessa, they do have a platform in order to try and bring in those donations. And they certainly succeeded in that at the beginning. And they do still have money in the bank, effectively. So this isn't a charity that's going to fold anytime soon. They've still got £6 million sitting in reserves, and that can then be given out in grants, for example. But yes, there is money that could be going out to those in need. And I think that perhaps will be questions about why more money hasn't been donated. But then they say they've got a long-term plan and they're putting that in place. And that is what 2022 and 2023 have been about. And it's a very glossy brochure as well, with all of the work that they've been doing, a lot of photographs of them. They do have a platform. We saw them hosting a mental health summit, for example, in New York. But all of those big events do have big costs, and anything when you have the Sussexes involved is going to come at a cost. Although, as you know, we do need to point out, they don't take an income, they don't take a salary from the work they do for the charity. But it's really, really important to them and their brand that they are seen to be doing something good. They wanted to carry on from what they'd been doing with the royal family and make a go of it on their own. It's not always that easy, though.
We've pointed out the parallels between the two films released, you know, doing good work, smiling, looking lovely as you're doing them. We've seen all that. But there is one big difference, and that is, of course, that Kate was there with her children, and Meghan and Harry absolutely not with theirs. And if you think of the joy that could have been generated the world over by a simple glimpse of Archie and Lilibet, it seems as if it's a shame they missed the trick, isn't it, really? Because it would have been lovely to see them helping.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, though, because they are that bit younger, Vanessa, and they are very protective over their children and not wanting them to be forced in the spotlight. And I think it's a matter of individual choice. The Prince and Princess of Wales are very careful about the appearances that their children make, but their children are going to have a life in public service and in the spotlight. Harry and Meghan have taken a step back. Yes, their children have titles, but they're not working royals, and their children won't have to be doing that kind of work in the future if they don't have to. So I don't really think we can make those kind of comparisons between, you know, should their children be appearing or not, much as I think the photographs and people lap up the images of Archie and Lilibet, and we saw glimpses of them in the Netflix documentary, and people were so delighted to just see a little bit of them, because of course we have seen so little. But I think it's very much up to the parents as individuals how much they allow their children to be in the public eye.